fatigue and rest quality check. So give it a shot at this weight, just one knee at a time. I just want to see how the weight is to start. Any extra pain? Okay, and it's not too heavy to start?
No.
Okay, good, that's the left knee. Good, try the right one real quick. Similar sensation?
It feels easier.
Okay. Take a short break, just so we can start fresh. We'll let it reset. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set a timer for 60 seconds. And we're going to do as many repetitions as this weight on one leg as you can get in 60 seconds. We're going to talk RPE. Where did that little chart go? Oh, there it is. We're going to talk RPE at the end of that, right? So your rate of perceived exertion. We'll see if it hurts, if it's painful. We'll see what's going on with that. We'll talk pain, and then we're going to check quality. So whether we get to the minute or you have to stop because it's fatiguing before then, whatever comes first on that last rep, we'll say, okay, that's our last one. You're going to hold. I'm going to check. If it's low quality, we're going to recheck it every 15 seconds to see when it gets back to high quality. Okay, get ready. I'm going to set the timer on which side you're starting with, the right? Okay, ready, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Get a good burn. 20, 21, nice. 22, 23, 24, 25. Cruising, feeling that quad. 26, yeah. 27. 28, you're almost there. Keep going. 29, 30, 31. One more rep. 32. Quality check. Hold at the top. Ready to go. Good. Stayed high quality, it felt like. 32 reps. What was your RPE? The rate of
With a
Yeah.
description, please. 4.
That was a 4? Okay, so 32 repetitions. We got about a 4 RPE, right? So could continue with reps, but it was pretty tricky.
I feel like if I did them faster, I wouldn't be controlled.
No, and that's good. This isn't a speed thing, so you did the right thing there. And usually when you, about a 4 RPE is about where you want to stop. So recovery not applicable, and you felt this in the quad?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so now the real test, the left knee that we've had problems with. Let's see if it feels the same or if you do less. Ready, and go. Nice, fatigue and rest quality checks on that left knee. 3, 4, excellent. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, killer. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, getting a burn. 15, 16, 17, 18. Oh yeah. 19, a lot harder, huh? 20. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, and lift, hold, ready to go. Yeah, feel how that bends, low quality.
When we got to, about the last 7,
So 25.
I also had a burn here, where that click is in my hip.
Okay. Push on the left, burn in that PSIS area
Yeah.
back there.
The last, like, 7.
Okay, so somewhere around the rep 26 36-ish, okay. What was the rate of perceived exertion, the RPE, this guy again? Was it harder than the last one? 4, 4.5, or about the same as the other one?
Yeah, I felt it more, but it's not like I couldn't do it.
Okay, so
That makes
maybe, so it was more than this one then?
Yeah.
So if this is a 4, can we call that 4.5?
Yeah.
Okay. And it was low quality, so let's recheck. It's been about 30 seconds now. Extend that knee again, hold that position, ready to go. Yeah, look, back to high quality, right? So we know at least a 30-second recovery to get that back to high quality. So we're gonna rest and then we're gonna do it again.
Okay.
So we're not gonna time it again this time, but what we know is if we go up to 26 or so on the left knee, we get some unwanted kind of sensation up into the hip joint there, which we don't necessarily want to go into. And if we go all the way to the 33, my guess is somewhere around that 25, 26 is where it was actually low quality, and you just kept powering through it. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop the rep range down a little and start to work on this asymmetry of control. So I'm going to have you do about 25, and we'll recheck quality and see how it's feeling at that 25 count in the back.
It already was more of an effort, like at 16, I could
16.
tell it was gonna be different,
Okay.
because that was halfway to 32, and I started counting backwards, which is my trick when it's hard. Because
To
it's
have
getting
a
closer to
finite
1.
thing, yeah.
It's getting
Okay.
closer to 1. And so, that's what I do when I'm struggling, is I count halfway and then I count backwards.
Okay. So what we'll do, actually, instead of going all the way up to the 20, let's go to about 15 and check quality. So we've had plenty of rest. Let's go ahead and just on the left, just 15 reps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. 5, 6, 7. Beautiful. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Lift. Sorry, I was on autopilot counting. Hold. Ready to go. There you go. That felt okay there. Okay, so another rest, and then we'll do it again at 20. What we're trying to do is find the threshold. Yeah, just below it. We know that at the very least 33 is the breaking point, right? So we want to stay just under it, but get as much as we can out of it without actually hitting the breaking point. So 15 was not the breaking point. What was your RP at 15?
Like, I was starting to get that real burn.
Close to a 4, maybe
Yeah.
3.5-ish, 3.75. We can split.
375.
Okay. No rush. Give it a second. Okay, so we're on left. At 15, that was about a 375 RPE. Stayed high quality. So then we're resting again anyway. About 60 seconds. Okay, and then let's go up to 20 this time. We start high quality. Feel rested?
Yeah.
Okay. One more time. Ready and go. 1, 2. Nice job. 3.
I was working on playing
4.
weights
5 with what?
when I did that.
That you're playing with what?
Clanging weights.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's a naughty thing to do at the gym.
Yeah, only because people are assholes about it though. But I get it. It's loud, but you're at the gym. There's steel everywhere. Yeah. Almost there. I think that was 19. And hold. There you go. Yeah, borderline there, right? Okay. Rest. Good job. So we're going to go for about that 20. Take a break. We're going to recheck that in 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Yeah, back, right? So I think 20 is right there. So while that one's resting, let's do 20 on the right, just so we don't let it fall behind too far. And then we'll do one more round on the left. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Getting those quads. 16. Yeah. 17. Nice job. 18, 19, 20. Rest. Okay. Short little break, just whenever you're feeling ready. We'll do the left one again. Last round, 20 reps. Nice.
Feet do not like to relax.
No, they don't. Well, I think it's partially because you, at least on the left side, because you haven't been able to really use your knee or your hip. Your feet are having somebody somewhere is having to make up for that, right? I suspect, just based on all this, that a lot of that is your feet.
That and the weight, yeah.
Yeah, right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 is getting hard, isn't it? 16, no pain in the knee. 17, 18, 20,
I
hold.
could not get the full.
Yep. Yeah, done. Right, so that one was probably around 15. So we found an intra-set fatigue, or intra-set fatigue, right, where at the beginning, the intra-set is during that set, we could get 20. And it wasn't tired until it got to 20, the first couple of rounds, right? And then towards the third round, and that's the total cumulative fatigue. In spite of recovery, resting, doing the right one while this was resting, it still couldn't get all the way to that 20 again. That was what, closer to the 5? Like you maybe could have forced a couple more, but that's it.
Well, I don't feel like I was doing the full range of
Yeah.
motion.
So
I
you
was
had
on
already hit the 5.
a couple before the end. After 15, they were becoming more and more questionable.
Yeah, you started moving a little bit.
It was like I wasn't getting it as high.
Yeah, range got limited. Yep.
How much weight is on this?
10 pounds.
Okay.
Good. Okay, let that rest for a second before we pop up. That was low quality for just a little bit. I'm gonna recheck it right. Look here, extend, hold. There we go. Good. Feel okay there? Okay. And rest. Okay, let me see what we want to do next here. I think, obviously with that, that's all we want to do. That's probably all we want to do on the knee today.
Okay. Is that something I could do at home with a weight on my ankle?
Yeah, your ankle weights, right? Just use both of them.
I got some 5-pound ones.
You got 5-pound ones? Okay, so this is how we're going to set up that homework right away.
Different than like neoprene, but I
Yeah.
can get a pair of 5-pound ankle weights.
That's great. So what you're going to do then is we're going to progress this even more, right? You're going to wait until we know, until you wake up tomorrow morning, you're going to wait. I want to make sure that we didn't do a little too much to it.
Okay.
If you get some pain or some unwanted sensation in the knee, obviously that's not the direction we want to go, but I'm fairly confident that's just because we potentially overworked it, not that something's going horribly wrong or even that's the wrong direction. So wait until tomorrow. Feel the knee out, make sure it's not hurting, and if it's okay, then what you're going to do is 10 pounds. I'm writing this in for the new homework progression. 10 pounds, so 2 ankle weights, and you're going to do, I'm going to set you up for three different sets. You're going to go 20 reps the first set, 20 reps the second set, 15 reps the third set. That way
And
we're...
do both legs?
Yeah, do both legs, and then
Just to keep them even.
just to keep them even. Yeah, we know the left one is the one with the discrepancy. So what I don't want you to do is do more on the right. So don't do 20 or 25, even if it's easier on the right, right? Because if we start with the imbalanced
And then
scale.
can I ask you before I move from this position?
Please.
Will you put your hand below this trap but above the shoulder blade, like right there? No. Can you?
Ooh.
That's from the fall.
Okay, so watch this real quick. Push down, retract. Okay, that did it all from here, didn't it?
Yeah. It's all like below the trap and above the shoulder blade, between the shoulder and the spine. And it's all these little, I don't know if they're driblets, whatever.
It's not doing it now. Is it?
Oh, it just did it.
A little bit though, but not as much.
But not as much.
Weird.
What's that?
Did he not believe you?
He said, oh, your range of motion's fine.
It's not though. It wasn't
No,
fine.
it wasn't fine.
No, it wasn't.
And I'm just like, no x-ray, no nothing.
Even as of 2 weeks ago, it's not okay. I mean, the
And
range
I
of motion
fell
wasn't.
the end of July
Yeah.
last year.
So more than
It has just been.
almost a year later, and it still wasn't fine. Just to give you another example, this is a terrible situation. My mother-in-law just had a tumor cut out of her neck here that they knew about like 3 or 4 years ago, but it was whatever. You know, she went to her doctor. He told her it wasn't cancer. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Turns out it was. It's lymphoma. So she went to the dermatologist just to, hey, I got this thing, I just want you to remove it. And they're like, that might be more than a little thing, you know, it was getting bigger, so they took it out, biopsied it, cancer. My point is that the doctor told her, it's not cancer, don't worry about it, you're fine. And he didn't even biopsy it. Like, how are you guys telling people that stuff is fine without checking? Thank God it's not widespread, she's only gonna get a little bit of radiation, she should be okay. But the point is that this doctor let her sit with this thing on her, this cancerous tumor on her neck for years, telling her it's fine, it's not cancer. How about biopsy it, dude? Stick a needle in there and let's check it, dude. How do you know?
I just read an article about a girl
It's crazy.
who had all this pelvic pain, which they ignore, and she even had a pelvic that was bad, which I can't believe. But someone finally did a pelvic, and they were shocked because she had a tampon left in there so long the skin grew over.
Oh my God, so.
And she was basically, toxic shock syndrome
Yeah.
at a
How could they
functioning
not-
level barely, but
How could they not
fever,
see
not
that?
feeling good, whatever. Like, no, the pelvic, they had to have done something when they got the,
Well, even like an X-ray or a PET scan, they would have been able to see that with.
yeah,
Which
one
is
more thing, ultrasound, something.
something. Hey,
You
there's
could do
a
a
weird.
pelvic ultrasound.
Yeah. Hey, there's a weird growth.
But
in
even
there. What
if
is
you
that?
had opened her up to do the,
Wouldn't have been able to
uh,
cut it out, scrape it out.
well, no,
whatever.
but when we get the,
Pap smear.
pap smear, they're scraping your cervix.
They
So
should
put
be
the
able to
Stilwell
feel a
in,
thing.
and they should be able to see it.
Yeah.
And, but at the point that it was finally found, that's what it was. And
That's
she had
wild.
been dismissed by 10 different doctors over like 9 months.
Yeah. See, that's insane.
And she's like, she didn't die because a lot of that times that happens, that escalates so quickly, like sepsis,
It's just too
essentially,
late before.
that, you have organs failure.
There was a story. This isn't a personal story, but I read about this. There was a lady who had a C-section done, and she went home. Baby was fine. Surgery went good. And she's like, something's not right. There's like something in my stomach. They sewed her towels, like the towels they were cleaning up with, back up into her stomach. That's wild. What?
It's like what they had in there to absorb the
Yeah.
blood.
But what,
They
are we
got
not
nothing.
checking before we stitch
They're
this
supposed
back
to
up?
count. They're supposed to count how many they use.
Yeah, see, yeah, you would know about that, right? Like just in your profession. You feel okay?
I don't do OR.
Okay. We're gonna.
I'm oriented through
But you
this.
would know like things
Cold
like
makes me go to
counting
sleep.
that, like.
Cold makes me. You should know that from watching
Yeah.
TV.
Let's go recheck. Yeah, right. Let's go recheck. Actually, not recheck. Sorry, I want to record either a progression of the side bend or the pelvic rotation exercise. So let's decide which one of those we wanna film. So we'll go back to the
Side
table. Yeah, the side bend. Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, I think the side bend is very closely related to the bend. Hello. Okay. Okay. So let me bring the table down for you. I think I want to try to set you up with the pelvic rotation because that's the next step anyway. The main reason we were doing the side bend, I think, was to get into that.
Yes.
So I think we'll just do the rotation. We'll
Is
try
that
it.
the flamingo move?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll try it from this lying down version, and if it's too hard for you to figure out kind of on your own, I have a seated variation that we can try. Let me go grab a band for us. So the bands that you have, they're more
I have,
like
that, and then I have a knitted one. You're supposed to do.
yeah, for abduction. Okay, I know what you're talking about. So it's like this but longer and not looped, right?
Right.
So that would actually work. That would work okay. You might have to tie a little knot in it so that it's looped. but that should work just fine. You can also get these really cheap on Amazon or whatever
Okay.
too, but just while you're waiting, you can do it with the one you have, just tie a knot in it and loop it.
Okay.
So go ahead and get into that supine position. We're gonna practice it, and then if that works, then if it feels okay, you like what it's doing to the system, it's helping us stabilize. Yeah. So you got that flamingo position already, right? You got that part down.
The right leg's straight, correct? And the left leg is bent and on the calf.
Correct. On the shin, whatever's comfortable there. And then start neutral. So, yep. So that's the starting position. The band is going to end up going under this left leg. So I'm going to get it under this foot. Good. All right. And again, just as a reminder, right? The reason that we're doing this thing is because we saw some instability through this left rib pack, not being able to hold that. We had a range of motion limit. Do you remember through the legs where the left leg didn't want to internally rotate, the right
Yes.
leg didn't want to externally rotate, right? So your system doesn't want to go that way. And I think it's because the pelvis starts this way anyway.
Yeah.
Do you feel how when we're approximated left like that, that almost flares that rib more? And I think that's why the shoulder is higher, which goes back to why us doing this elevation earlier isn't necessarily contradictory or bad. Because I think it's higher because you're in this position, but not because you're doing this. In fact, it probably because you're higher positionally are driving down more, trying to even it out, which is why it was unstable in elevation is what I'm thinking.
I
based on the
imagine
data.
myself like over a teeny pasta.
My starting point.
It's
Yeah.
like this is out, but this is open, like I'm
Bingo.
spatchcocked.
Like this.
And then this is, yeah. I'm just like,
Spatchcocked. So, yeah, starting like that, and then what you're gonna do is squeeze this rib and use that rib, yes, to push your body to the right. One, and then slowly coming back. Try not to over arc it, keep this tight, and limit the movement a little bit. Two, that's it. And then unrotate. Slow and controlled back, don't just let go. Three. Do you feel how if you go a little far, it almost arcs again?
yeah.
So watch my body here doing this just really quickly. Instead of going
I'm doing
right, go
that. Okay.
tight.
Smaller.
Smaller move. Tight left ribs. One. There you go. You feel it here?
Yeah.
Go again. Two. It's almost like these guys are pushing the pelvis that way, right? And then nice and easy back. Good. Three. Is this hurting your neck, your shoulder?
No, I'm just. That's all wonky and
Yeah.
interrelated and codependent. I don't know why.
Should we try it from a seated position instead
Yeah,
of
let's
doing this
just
harder
see.
version? Yeah, okay. So this will be one of the progressions that we move into, but let's start it from an easier position here. So just go ahead and have a seat. Okay. It'll be a little bit simpler, I think easier for you to figure out from this position here. So, yeah, I mean, right. So as I'm standing here looking already, yeah, you're rotated left, right? So this will be perfect. With this, all you're gonna do, same movement. It's a pelvic rotation right. You're gonna slightly squeeze the left rib. Yep, and then push this knee forward. That. Feel how that rotates that hip back and hold. Perfect. Oh, and just hold. Hold. Good. Bring your body back to the left a little bit. There you go. Where do you feel this work? Pain back there?
Not pain, just muscle.
You feel some in here too?
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Good. Try not to bend right. Don't get away from that. Yeah. There. See how you... Do you notice that? As soon as we bent left, your system goes, oh, hey, I can do this better. I didn't tell you to push harder. Did you intentionally tell yourself to push harder? Right. Your system said, oh, I can do
I have
this.
control.
Yes, exactly. And rest. Okay, so let's record this version for your homework. Here we go. So with this one, we're working on the pelvic approximation to the right. It's pretty simple and straightforward. What we're focusing on, the two things that you need to think about before you start doing it is, well, the one thing at least before you start is the left rib. So you'll see in the video that you start almost that way, right? And you don't even have to like bend all the way in, but just enough that it's, yeah,
Okay.
perfect. and then you're pushing this knee forward. That's it. So what that's doing is that's rotating your pelvis to the right, right? So I think what that's also going to help us do is unimpinge that left PSIS area, right? And then the only other thing you want to make sure to do while you're doing it is making sure that your whole body doesn't rotate right. Keep this squared up.
Okay.
So you'll feel, yeah, it wants to go with you,
Okay.
right? What we're doing is a little bit of a separation of the spine. So keep these squared up with the wall in front of you. There you go.
Okay.
Hold, and then you'll hold that. So what I would recommend at home is that maybe you sit against the wall or like your bed, like this maybe, for example, right? My knees can get into that bed. Or if you're against the wall, use a pillow and then just hold. About 30 seconds at a time. I'm hoping that you continue to feel this work through this left side a little bit. Yeah, left ribby area.
It's like here.
Perfect. Hip as well, like hip flexors, a little bit of ribby. Beautiful. Push. And you're getting less work here now.
Yeah.
If that left rib is on. Good.
Now that I'm staying this way.
Good. And if you start to get that work back here, I want you to stop, rest, reset.
Okay.
Because I think what's going to happen is too much.
I think I was doing this.
There we go.
And that was pulling.
That makes sense.
So now if I keep this here and it's just that, I'm not.
Okay. I didn't look like you were doing this, but the one other thing to consider for the video is don't hip hike right. So when you push that left knee out, I don't want this hip on the right to come up.
Okay.
Just spin.
Is it like this?
Yeah, perfect. And then upper body. So when you're doing this at home, maybe you put your hands on the wall too. So I'll be your wall.
Okay.
Put your hands out in front of me, straighten them, straighten the arms. Because you'll know if you're twisting, right? Because your pressure will be applied different. Hey, good. And then hold it. You're not repping it, you're holding it. Nice. Hold. Just hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Good. So that stayed squared up. There you go. Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Okay.
Anything else you want to add to that video to remind yourself?
No.
Okay. Good. Okay. We got a little bit of time here still. Let's see what the next thing on the assessment
And I know we
is.
talked about 1,800 calories. How much protein should I be aiming for?
Yeah, so, okay, do you wanna, we got about 15 minutes left. Do you wanna talk food instead of more physical stuff here? Just to switch gears?
Well,
I'll have to
at
do
least protein.
Okay, let me do the math here real quick. Because it's a certain percentage based on total weight.
Is it like grams per pound?
Yeah, but they do it in kilograms, so hold on, let me do the math. Okay, so now there's different contexts for this. So I want to talk about this just for a second, because if you're gonna if you just whatever, if
I
you
wanna
Google
build
it or you see it
muscle.
online, right? So I want to put this in context because I am going to have you eating a lot more protein than what most other places would say, and here's why. I just want to clarify this. So, for example, the World Health Organization (WHO) says that the safe lower limit for someone of your age, height, and body weight is about 104 grams a day. Context. WHO is World Health Organization. They're interested in people not dying from diseases and
Malnutrition. Yeah.
bingo. So that is a minimum. That means safe lower limit. That is minimum, right? The CDC again has a different. I don't like this number at all. They're saying somewhere between 67 to 235 grams a day. That's a big range. Right, so that's going to be about 10 to 35% of your daily caloric intake. This would be if they're measuring you at about the 22 to 2,500 calorie intake. So American Diet Association, ADA, which is Dietetic Association, they're saying at least 125 all the way up to 225, again, for your height, weight, age. So I'm going to have you a little bit on the heavier end. So I want you to get probably at least 150, which seems like a lot.
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, it will be when I measure it out,
Yeah.
but
And compared to what you're eating, like that picture of that plate you showed me the other day, again, just to clarify, that's healthy. I don't have any problems with any of those single ingredients, but it's not nearly enough protein. And if that's how you eat somewhat regularly, no wonder it's been easier to put on weight because your muscles aren't getting developed to help raise your basal and resting metabolic rates, right? To help burn the extra calories.
Yeah, I'm sure my thermostat is at a low.
Yeah, I bet. So I want you to do at least 150.
Okay.
Feel free to do more.
Okay.
The only real issue with
Is there
this,
an upper limit? Yes.
yeah, about 230
Okay.
max. Like I don't think you need that much. I think you'd be happy, feel good somewhere between 180, 200.
Okay.
Yep.
Most of the success I've had losing weight has been like a no refined carbs whatsoever.
Yeah, and that plate you showed me, for example, on the
And-
naan is a little bit, but
Well, the bread.
yeah.
And so it's like fruits and vegetables, and then low fat, high protein, but lean protein.
Yeah. And I think what you'll find is.
But I've also been very calorie restricted when I've really lost weight.
Do you know
But
how calorie restricted you were previously?
5 to 1,200 calories.
Ooh, yeah, that's not enough.
Yeah.
That's
And then
not
my
enough.
problem is when I come off that,
You
it
gain
slowly.
So you're not going to lose it as fast, but the idea is that we're setting a new baseline and a standard, so you're not going to gain it back. Now, if you want to do like a little short term, this is totally up to you. I'm not going to suggest this, but if you wanted to do a little short term like crash diet where
I would love to get below 250 because it's
Yeah.
a real difference on my joints.
Yeah.
That's like my magic number when I was working hospitals on the regular, where I could feel it on the daily. Like I wouldn't have to get on the scale to know I broke 250.
yeah,
It was just a different thing on my structure.
that makes sense.
And so if I could get below that, I know I would feel better, but I don't want to do it just to gain it back plus.
No, but so
Which is how I got to where, you know, I was.
So I think what I was saying is that if you want to in the short term do a little bit more restricted than what I'm suggesting at the 18, feel free to do that. Do your 1200 maybe for this first week to jump into it, but then we're gonna go back to the 18.
I think I'm just gonna stick with 18 and see, and if I'm not moving fast enough,
We'll
maybe
creep
I
some down.
creep
Yeah.
down a little bit to 15 and see what.
Because the thing is once you're at, let's say, longer term here, just, we may not be meeting at this time, but I just want to give this to you anyway. It's like longer term, if you're back down all the way to that weight that we want you to be at from a healthy BMI standpoint, where you're closer to 170, 180, maybe even 160, you probably will be eating about 15 normal, and that's it. You probably won't be eating more than that, right? Because again, about 3,500 calories is
If I'm
about a pound
active
of
enough,
body weight.
like I would love to be at 1,800.
Yeah, and you might on given days too. And I want you to also start thinking about this for our short-term purposes here. We're going daily, but it's about the weekly average too, right? Like I can gain weight and not eat on Tuesday, as long as I make up for it on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You see what I'm saying? So I want to, longer term, we're going to start thinking about weekly averages, because that's more realistic with life. Maybe you're really busy one day, or
When I was
whatever.
good at my diet, I was like telling myself, okay, I know I've got a wedding, and it's okay, you can eat some snacks and weightless, so breakfast is gonna be purely protein, whatever, egg white omelet,
The no
And-
diet.
And
That's
then
what I
I'm
like to
gonna
call.
have fun, and we'll see.
Yep. The no diet diet is what I like to call that. Okay. Did I answer your question for protein?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do one more thing, and then we'll recap all your homework. Okay, sorry, so real quick, the two things to recap, sorry, since we changed this. The two things we're changing,
Mhm.
knee extension.
Yeah.
Yep, you're going into the weight. We're gonna do one more thing, so don't
I'm
get us
just
yet.
gonna write down the protein while I.
Yeah. Please. So the knee extension, you're going to the 10 pounds. You're gonna do 3 sets on that left side especially. We're gonna do 20 repetitions, and then 15 repetitions on the third round. You're gonna keep up with the hip hike exercise. And we were doing 3 to 5. I'm gonna move you up from 5 to 7
Okay.
instead of 3 to 5. And then the tibial internal rotation, what we progressed was the mode of contraction. So now we're also adding myo and plyo. I'm writing this in here, which is just slow back. Right, so I want about a 3 to 5 second count on the way back. And that's going to be with the band. Okay. And you're only going to do about 5 repetitions at a time. 3 sets of 5 repetitions, because there's a lot more time under tension when you're doing that plyo, right? Myo is 1, 2, plyo is 1, right? So you're holding for a lot longer, right, while you're doing it. And then side bend, we're going to progress that to hold a little bit longer.
Okay.
So we're going to go for about 45 seconds now instead of 20 to 30 is what we were shooting for. So shoot towards the 45 seconds. And we're going to add pelvic approximation right, or pelvic rotation right, which is not the flamingo if you're doing it from the seated position. So I'll write in seated, and we have the video for that. 3 sets of about 5 repetitions. Each repetition is going to be about a 20-second hold. And for all the notes about where to turn, not turn, what to hold up, I'm just writing in the note box, see video. Okay? And then the very last one that we're adding is your shoulder elevation. So we got number 5 is that shoulder shrug on the left, right? And you'll do that likely lying down if you can. Shoulder shrug, left side only, supine position. You're doing a myo technically because it's just to get there, but you're going to hold for about 10 to 15 seconds at a time. 3 sets of about 5 repetitions of that, once a day. In the notes, and we have this in the video, but I'm adding this to the note box here. Roll shoulder back.
Yes.
Before pulling up, before shrugging. And then if you feel it in the clavicle, in the collarbone, stop and reset, right? We don't really want to feel it in the collarbone. So if sensation in collarbone, cool, stop and reset. Okay, so those are our 5. Let me send you that screenshot. Just to send you a smaller screenshot, so it's bigger, I'm going to send you 2. So I'll send you 1 through 3 and 4 through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 4, 5. Sorry, 6 exercises, not 5. Okay, so here's screenshot number 1. And then we'll go for number 2. Exercise 6, not 5. All right.
Coming through, I see.
Beautiful. So that's the first one. Second set, including the side bend, the pelvic rotation, and the shrug. Here we go. Okay, there's the second one. So there's 3 on each of those, just to make it bigger, right? So you can zoom in a little bit more on it. And then the videos. So you said you did get into the OneNote.
I could open it, and then I opened
Was this the homework hub?
it didn't show up.
Okay, so I'm just
Like there was nothing there. I tried to look for stuff to
like
open.
you couldn't
and it
even
just
open the
didn't.
assessment or anything. Yeah, so something's just being weird with it. So let's just keep going the way we were going.
And let me double check with you what email you are using for me.
I should say it was already. I don't know, but I'll send it to your other one. What's the one you're using?
I'm not sure.
What would you like? What it doesn't matter.
Next
what
time I
email?
come in, I'll tell you.
Okay. Do you know which one you logged into OneNote?
That's what I'm
with?
trying to remember.
Okay. Yeah, let me know next time.
I'll let you know what one I'm on.
Okay.
Um,
So the homework videos then are still going to be right in this same playlist.
okay.
Right, so it's going to take a couple minutes to upload, but it'll just be down at the bottom of that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Good work.
I'll play with it some.
Yeah, and
I
not
have weird stuff with me and technology, and it's I think it's my body chemistry. As weird as that sounds.
Well,
I always felt like I needed a garlic necklace, but like somehow my YouTube would not play on my cell tower stuff because
Yeah,
I
that's
wasn't on Wi-Fi, and I didn't do any setting changes.
Yeah, that's weird.
And I had to Google it to find the setting change, even though I looked within YouTube and I looked within my settings.
Okay.
And then I had to go this archaic way and fixed it, and then it's done again, and
Weird.
I can't find my way in.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to go home and Google it again.
That is weird.
And it's just frustrating.
Okay.
And it's like I was listening to something on my way here. I was listening to a trial, and then I stopped, and it stopped working, and it's like no data found.
Yeah. What network?
And I'm just like,
You using Verizon?
I'm Verizon.
Yeah, which works
No,
for you pretty
yeah,
good.
I'm not Verizon. I'm sorry. I am Xfinity.
Oh, who knows?
But they use Verizon towers.
Which is Comcast, right?
Yeah, but they use Verizon towers.
They might have a limit on
And
their broadband or
where
something.
I am in Arcata is a dead zone
Okay.
of where stuff falls out and everything. Text works great. My friend and I can be talking
Well,
and drop 10 calls.
It's super low data to text,
And
that's
then-
why.
When we text, it's no problem.
Weird. Okay. Yeah, so the videos are just gonna be right there. That'll solve for that. And then next appointment, we're gonna, starting off with, I wrote all this down already, I'm making a voice note here so we can think about this next time. We're gonna start by rechecking the upper extremity and the left lower extremity
Okay.
influence, right? So the shoulder overhead flexion range of motion, which had no pop and click today on the left. And I'm still curious about this influence from the side bend or from the hip hike we've been doing. So we'll just keep checking that, making sure it's staying locked in because it's good. We'll recheck the knee extension here today that we started with, right? Because it was a little low quality. It should be good if you're hitting those ankle weights this week, so we'll double check that. We're going to continue to work the tibia. I think the tibia is one of the single biggest things. That's the single biggest sensory change that you get too. Every time we do that, you're like, it
That's
feels
my
more
canary
lined
in the
up.
coal mine.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Alright.
So we're going to keep working that. We'll keep progressing the time under tension. And then very likely what we'll do is add that tibial rotation configuration to a knee extension machine. So next time when we do the knee extension machine again, I'm probably going to have you do it internally rotated through the tibia. So we can get that locked in so that the tibia knows to stay rotated while you're flexing and extending through the knee joint. And then we'll follow up with dorsiflexion, which there was originally a limit on the left ankle in the assessment, so we'll double check that. No clicking with the side bend, you're not getting that anymore? Okay, because that popped up on the assessment. We'll progress all those guys, we'll progress the knee flexion, and then if your SARS is stable, which towards the end of today it was stable. We cleared every single one of them, but we had to work along the way to do that. If those are all stable, then we'll talk about jumping into full-blown phase 2, because that's kind of the rule there, is if your body is stable, then we can go ahead and keep moving ahead, right? So as long as the knee doesn't get weird or crazy and or your SARS stays mostly locked in, but you're getting really close. We're already ahead of schedule too, which is great. So we'll be able to jump into the phase 2. I don't see any reason, barring natural disasters, crazy accidents, that by the time you need to go or whatever, we can have you trained.
Okay.
So then maybe hopefully all we have to do is keep checking in, sending the program so that you can just keep losing the weight, working out.
Okay.
Nice.
That sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, any other questions, comments,
I'll
concerns?
pay you and make an appointment for next week.
Yes, ma'am. All right, good job. Thank you.